So I straight piped my tractor. It sounds pretty healthy. Sounds pretty good in person. I'm not sure how it's coming off on camera, but it sounds pretty healthy. This is my Kubota L2050. I've got the side panel removed right now. Basically, the factory muffler from 1991 was completely corroded. I had to remove it, which was a chore in itself. Here we have the factory header or exhaust manifold, and the new pipe just slips right over that with the clamp. And this new pipe is 5 feet tall, so it's getting that exhaust up out over my head. The factory muffler that was on here before had no tip. That rotted away a long time ago. So every time I drove this thing, I had to lean over to the side to try to get out of the way of that exhaust that was just going right in my face. It's not fun breathing diesel fumes. So this was a very simple, cheap, and effective solution. So I've got these two trees that I had to trim up. There's one right here on the corner of the house, and then there's one kind of, you know, just a couple feet off of that one. I'm not sure if this one's an actual tree or some kind of just gigantic, very old bush. But this one over here was touching my roof a lot, so every time it was windy, we'd hear it scratching the roof, and that's not good, obviously, for the roof shingles. So I got in there and trimmed it up, and I feel like it looks pretty dang good. And this one too, this one was just really overgrown. Very low to the ground. I couldn't really mow anywhere near, like, underneath it. So I trimmed all that up, which is what this immediate, you know, branch stuff is right here. So all this right here in this pile is directly from that bush tree thing. This one, on the other hand, is this pile down here. And this pile, surprisingly, is actually smaller than the amount I took off of that bush. So this is what they look like now after the trim. And the task for right now is to remove all these branches back to my brush pile way in the back. And of course, for a job like that, I'll be using my tractor. This is a Kubota L2050, I believe from 1990 or 1991, something like that. But it's a 3-cylinder diesel, and this thing runs fantastic. Sitting in the hot seat here, you can see where that exhaust used to come out. The muffler was basically broken off right about here, so all of that exhaust fumes would just come straight back as I'm driving forward and go and right in my face. I'd be driving it kind of like this, leaning way over to try to get out of the way of that exhaust, and it's, you know, you can imagine that's not safe. So I did what anybody would do. I cut off that old muffler. That thing was rust welded on there, and I went down to my local exhaust shop and purchased a 5-foot section of pipe, and seems like so far it's working out wonderfully well. As you can imagine, having no muffler at all has definitely changed the sound, but I think I'm okay with it. My first thought was to replace it with just another muffler, but that kind of started getting complicated when you talk about, you know, exhaust clamps and muffler and then pipe, and then, I don't know. I mean, it's not super complicated, obviously, but this was just a lot more simple. Putting one single exhaust tube on here with one clamp was very cost effective, very quick, easy, and I think it sounds pretty good. A straight piped 3-cylinder diesel. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. When I first moved out here, I wasn't sure if I needed a tractor, but when you buy a piece of land that, you know, has a lot of trees that needs to be worked, I mean, a tractor is literally invaluable. So it's been paying off. Where did the tractor go? Well, there it is. And this is exactly why a tractor is so needed when you have any sort of sizable piece of land. But if you do have a sizable piece of land, you already know this, I'm sure. This stuff is all new to me. I'm just figuring it out as I go, which is kind of fun. but also scary at times. But yeah, about to make my first run back to the brush pile. So let's start this thing up and hear how it sounds again, being straight piped. So I got to turn the key, and there's a little coil that I can see get red hot. Now that that's done, I have the clutch pressed in. I'll go ahead and see if it'll start here. Here we go. All right. You can see the end of that exhaust there. The trees are kind of covering it a bit, but this is awesome because that's gonna push all those fumes up and over my head. Whereas before, when I would have a load, the exhaust had nowhere to go but back into my face. So, pretty cool. The thing about a tractor is they're geared so low. So you have to go slow, but that's also safer. You know me, it'd be safe. Of course, I can't see where I'm going. There's literally no way to tell other than just knowing the land. And we're back, and the tractor is idling as low as it can. And look at that exhaust pipe just waving there. What do you think? Does that sound good to you guys or no? Would you put a muffler on or not? Comment down below, let me know. I'm in my shop right now. Tractor is back there. The work is done. I'll go show you that in 1 second so you can see the before and after. Here's the filming lights I use when I film my videos. Here's another one. This is a flat panel, a foot by a foot, and they do get pretty bright. This one is more of a kind of globe system. Lantern. I don't really film with these overhead like ceiling lights because these are just typical fluorescent bulbs and they don't play well with cameras. The color temperature on those is terrible and they have a very low CRI, color rendering index. So these lights are actually made for filming and they don't flicker and they actually have a high CRI, so my skin tones and whatever I'm doing looks normal. The whole reason why I was telling you that is because I'm going to be filming a video here today, right now. It's going to be on, some of you guys follow the channel, you'll know that I have some axles that I had purchased from Amazon, and they came in and they're all greasy. Let me show you. So you can see this one, there's an end cap here that basically holds in all the grease, and if these things like hit the ground hard, this end cap can just pop off, and that's exactly what happened on both of these. So you can see all the grease that's just everywhere. That's how I received those. And you can see the oil grease stuff that's just kind of soaked through the box. Not to mention the boxes were practically ripped in half with these gears basically dragging on the floor. It's not like it really matters because I don't use these gears, but my whole curiosity is just how hard were these things hitting the ground? Was there any major fall? But they are axles, so I mean they should be able to withstand that sort of thing. The boots are nice and good. These are remanufactured axles from Cardone, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cardone. I always get that mixed up with Dorman. Cardone sounds the same to me. Speaking of Dorman, you can see I bought this Unifit. This is an axle boot, and it's kind of just like a universal boot. Comes with the grease and everything and the clamps and all that stuff, so I kind of test fit one of them there. But I'm gonna have to try to reboot my original axle here, which is leaking. There's a small leak somewhere on here, but that's leaking. So that's what the video is going to be about, is rebooting your own axle. So let me take you outside and show you the after. All right, we are outside and it is warm today but dry. I'm very, very thankful for the dryness. I don't mind the warmth. I don't mind the heat, I should say. I just, when it's heat and humid, you feel like you can't breathe. But right now it's pretty dry. I think the humidity level's in about maybe the mid 30s, 35%. That's pretty dry. And it's about 90 degrees outside. So here's the after. You can get a better shot of those two trees. See just what they look like after I trimmed them both. I think they look pretty good. They're high and dry. None of the branches are hanging down super low and nothing's hitting my roof anymore. This one, again, is high and dry. Before the branches were so low, I mean, I couldn't mow anywhere around that thing. I had to go completely around it, which wasn't good. And of course, you can see all the debris is cleaned up. And of course, I'll get all the leaves and stuff, the small stuff, when I mow. But this tree definitely is a cool looking tree, and I'm glad that I got it all trimmed up. There's still some more I could do here and there, but for now it's good. And then this one, I don't know what it's called. I don't even know if it's a tree or like a bush that's just 30 years old. But look at how big it is. Look how well it's trimmed back. I mean, I can walk under it completely. There's no branches, leaves hanging down. That means my mower's gonna fit under here. And this ground that you can see down here, that's dirt and some grass, is hopefully gonna grow grass. But now I'll be able to really clean this area up and not have to come back with a weed whacker. If I can get my zero turn in here and just go around this thing, makes my life a lot easier. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I straight piped my tractor. I mean, how cool is that? It definitely has a deep, throatier sound. It's a diesel, man. It's a 3-cylinder Kubota Japanese diesel, runs like a top, and now it is straight piped. It sounds so good. Other than that, guys, I gotta get to work filming my more professional video on, you know, replacing that CV axle boot. So stay tuned, that should be coming out very soon. But if you enjoyed this one, if you're still watching, consider hitting that thumbs up. Helps the channel, helps the video, helps me. And if you're not subscribed and you've watched this far, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. We got tractors, we got trucks, we got all kinds of stuff we're working on in here. I'm Jimmy for One Road, and I will see you in the next one.